Hello friends and welcome on fourth session of Tools in ScandiPWA. I'm pleased to welcome you, and today we will talk about debugging using Chrome. We will see an extensions which we recommend using, and we will also try to connect our VS Code with Chrome to debug remotely. Cool. So let's begin with looking for the Redux DevTools in the Google search, and we should see the first one, Redux DevTools, which we can immediately add to the Chrome. It's being installed. Also, we will need React DevTools, which we can also download and install. After doing this, if we get back to the page, to the ScandiPWA local page, and if this page will be in development mode, so if you will be running this in development mode, you should find the components folder here, which will include the names of the components and the logic of them, like props, context, etc. So this is how you can use the React tools, but remember, you must have the development setup for this. You can see how to set up the development mode here. You will require the front-end container for it. Otherwise, the styles will be uglified and the code will be uglified, and the React will be run in production mode, which will mean that the code won't have anything to hook this component extension to. So the extension won't work. Cool. This is about the Redux React, and for the Redux you can use this window, and this window is also available in Inspector, but I prefer using it this way because it allows you to traverse the history of your application. For example, go to the first event inside of it, and if we will scroll, we can see how the navigation was changing, how header and footer became available, etc. So this allows us to traverse the history of our application. Additionally, we can see the state, which is currently being used, and the difference between current and previous set. We can also note the action which happened, like update totals currently was in use, and we can see that it had a payload of card data. Also, we can have see the trace, and you can see that the trace has a valid URL, and we can set the editor to open the file, and to use this editor we can write the VS Code, and then if we will press on this file in our inspector, we should be able to go to this file. Oh well, allowed to run, I assume. Sometimes this setting doesn't work, so you shouldn't be too worried about it. More importantly, this URL is source mapped, so you can see that var www public vendor is the real path where you will be able to find the source of this action. Cool. So this is how you can work and interact with React and Redux. That's amazing. Now, how can you connect the VS Code to the Google Chrome? Well, first, this could be hard on some machines. For example, on my machine, I do not have the default executable. But let's check first. We need to go to extensions and search for Chrome debugger, and we need to install it. After we install it, we will notice that our application I'll close all, has some configurations or has none. If we press here, we can see it has some Chrome, Node.js, so we have no pre-configured configurations. Let's configure one. Let's select a Chrome and let's see what it advises us to launch. It advises us to launch Chrome against localhost, which we do not want to. We want it to run on ScandiPWA.local, and ideally we want to run it on our secure local. Cool. Now let's try if it will work. If I pressed it out here, we can see that the debugger for Chrome had error processing the this only happens to me, but for you this might immediately work. How to resolve it and why did this happen? Well, this happened because I have a different version of Chrome which which executable is not the Google Chrome. It's, I believe, let's see how it's called. So to find out what executable do I have on my local system, I can do following. I can run list binary folder and filter out all Chrome related files. And as we can see, we have a Google Chrome stable. So for me, instead of Google Chrome, I have a Google Chrome stable. So what we can try doing is go back to our VS Code and provide the runtime executable pointing to bin, and that's it, to Google Chrome. Let's see how it looks. So runtime executable bin Google Chrome stable. Let's try to launch it and see. Potentially, oh, I'm sorry, maybe potentially I need to remove this bin here. Let's check. It should open the Chrome. No, it doesn't exist, of course. Sure, there should be a bin here. Amazing. Now if I run it, it should open a Chrome, but you can see that for me, it doesn't open ScandiPWA immediately. For you it could, so this could be a final setup for you, but for me it does not, and it fails to connect. Then you have last option, is to run Chrome separately from the, you run Chrome on your own and then attach to it using VS Code. So let's change this mode to attach and let's remove the runtime executable. The default port is already declared, so we won't declare it again. But if it wouldn't be, you can provide it here, or if you want different, you can provide a port here and change it. I will keep 922 as my port. So to run Chrome, for which we will into which we will attach, you need to execute following command: Google Chrome stable, then provide the remote debugging port flag and set this argument to 9222, and then you need to provide a user directory in which to save the information. And for me, it is the ~downloads debug data. So this means that all my data is saved into my downloads user directory, into the folder called debug data. So if I run this, it's running me the Chrome. I can go to ScandiPWA local, and as you might see, wait a second, if we now connect the VS Code to my Chrome, it should, wait, let's see, do I have any breakpoints? I do have. Let's disable my breakpoints first, and let's provide the port here, just to be sure. So I provided the port, and now I'm launching it. It should open the Chrome. Potentially I'm not seeing my terminal because I have to switch to output mode or debug console. And yes, here we go. The debug console, if we open the debug console, we can also do it by typing debug console. So we can clear this or view debug console. And here we can see the logs of our website. So it's clearly browser logs, and we can compare them. If we, for example, go back to our Chrome here, we can inspect the element and see the same logs, which immediately indicates that we are actually connected. And now if we put the breakpoint here, let's for example declare a new const, which will be ABC, and it will have the value of 1 to 3. And let's declare another which we will hook into. So I place the debugger here. You can see that it's because the inspector was opened, it immediately focused onto this window. If we close this and we reload the page, yeah, let's see what will happen here. We will reload the debugger as well. We need to stop it. Yeah, sure. Now if we reload this, we will see that the debugger has catched. We have some breakpoints which we can manage, and we have our variables here in inspector. So this is how it works and how you can debug your application using the VS Code. Hopefully, now to disconnect, you can press this here. Hopefully this instruction was helpful to you, and now you will be more powerful in terms of your tooling. Thanks everyone for watching this session, and I hope to see you next time.